and welcome back, everyone. We're here with our amazing panel. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me go ahead and introduce them to you. First, let me start with Kelly Romack, who is the VP of Digital HR and Strategy Delivery at Hilton. Welcome.
Thanks, Chris.
Rudy,
glad to be here.
It's great. Next up is Rudy Kellner. He's the VP Digital Strategy and Operations at MetLife. Thank you for joining, Rudy.
Thank you, Chris.
And we have Scott Wardlow, who's the Managing Director at JP Morgan Chase. Thanks for joining us today, Scott.
Thanks, Chris.
And what do all these customers have in common? They've all transitioned off of PeopleSoft and onto our HCM cloud. And they're all going to talk a little bit about their story and their journey. We're going to start off with a question for all of you. So prepare your answer. We'll start with Scott. Scott, what are you live with in the cloud today? And what's next in your journey?
Sure. So Chris, as you're well aware, in partnering with us on this, we recently implemented Core HR and ORC, the Oracle Recruiting Cloud, at the end of May this year in 2020. We have chosen to implement by module globally. So we believe that the core needed to be in place for us to be able to take advantage of some of the other capabilities as you're bringing those online. Our next implementation, which we are staging about 6 months apart, is talent, learning, and performance management, which will go live at the end of October. We'll follow that up next year with US payroll and timekeeping, which is really as far out as we planned at this point, but we plan on continuing to develop and roll out modules to replace our existing portfolio.
That's great. Scott, and we'll ask you, because you are a recent go live and went live through COVID. So we'll come back to that and ask you how that went and how you did there. Next up is Kelly. Kelly, you've been live for a little bit longer than Scott. So tell us how long you've been live for and what are you using of Oracle HCM Cloud?
Absolutely. We've been live for almost 2 years and we were very excited. We went a different approach, went big bang approach, core HR, payroll, talent, absence, time and labor. And we would have went live with Oracle Recruiting Cloud and helped us, but they weren't quite ready for us. So that's partly next on our journey. Both of those modules, really great opportunity, as well as additional global expansion. We're in almost 120 countries. So as we kind of march across the globe, we're looking to light Oracle HCM Cloud up.
And one thing that you've highlighted to me that you've really liked and actually helped us internally develop it. Two things that if you could briefly talk about. You went live with Oracle Guided Learning, which you educated me on the value of that for your customers, and you're one of our early adopters. We'll talk about that in just a second of the digital assistant. But tell us a little bit about those two implementations.
Absolutely. I get super excited about digital assistant. We'll save that for later on. However, guided learning, we looked at how do we make sure this dispersed workforce across the globe are truly empowered, because that was our goal, to shift the focus to team member and manager self-service. So when I looked at guided learning and saw that it was mobile enabled, we had the opportunity to get that in front of our team members. And literally it tells you exactly how to use the tool in context of the user you are and the role you have of the hotel you're at. I said, let's do it. And we've loved guided learning. It has been so successful for us. We have so many folks use it, all the way down from my team member level to the HR managing director at a hotel cluster.
All right, Rudy, same question. How long have you been live for, and what is MetLife live with Oracle HCM Cloud?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. We recently celebrated our 18-month anniversary of going live with the US payroll, US benefits and time and labor. This kind of was our focus within the US. And then globally, we have workforce administration, global compensation planning, absence, as well as the self-service that comes along with those modules.
Fantastic. And so right in the middle. So Scott's been live for about 3 months, Kelly about 2 years, and MetLife about 18 months. So good span of live. So Scott, you guys did an amazing thing. JP Morgan Chase went live, really kind of at the heart of this pandemic. So how was it to, kind of continue and finish your implementation and post go live in a virtual world, everybody kind of working remotely? How has that been, and what lessons learned do you have?
Sure. So we were very nervous about that at first, as you can imagine, when we went to the full remote workforce, around losing productivity and not being able to execute an implementation or a cutover in a command center structure, which is something that we're very comfortable with within JP Morgan Chase, and something that all of the SIs that we've worked with and all the projects we've worked with over the years would highly recommend. I think we looked at it as a little bit of a risk reward in terms of all of the productivity that we would potentially lose by not having people in the same place. We felt we could compensate with by what were and have proven out to be reduced business volumes at the go live. And for that reason, we decided to move forward with a little bit of a greater tolerance for a margin of error. So because we're not hiring as many people as we would normally be doing, we're not moving the organization around as much. We were in a little bit of a static situation during that go live period. Things have picked up since, and they continue to pick up. It gave us a chance to leg into the system. And so everything that we lost during that implementation, which, by the way, I think was less than what we thought, clearly bringing Zoom online very quickly, having direct connectivity to Oracle, and the Oracle team being able to be online as quickly as they possibly were, as well as our SIs, made that gamble really turn out to be a great strategy in terms of the go live.
Yeah, you guys have just done an amazing job in managing through this, and we've done some of it together, but it's been great. Kelly, you certainly are an innovator, and Hilton is an innovator, and I remember way back in, I guess it was the beginning of 2018, when we first came out with our mobile responsive pages, and I was nervous about it, and you were, let's go, we're ready to implement, and so Hilton and your team has really driven a lot of innovation for your organization. Can you tell us what's that like, kind of why that's part of your culture, and how you go about doing that?
You bet. So from my perspective, our team members need just as good a technology as our customers and our guests. It's unacceptable to give them anything less. And so working on the consumer side of technology for so many years, I really led with mobile first. It's so key. Our team members, that's where the world is. We had to meet them where they're at. They're running around our hotels. They're incredibly busy serving guests every day. We're in a business of people serving people. We had to give them technology in the palm of their hand and move past all of the challenges that they were having and the friction points they were having with old school technology. And so leading with mobile first has really changed the game for us. And honestly, it's increased productivity. It's allowed our team members to not have to wait in line for consoles, wait in line for people to approve things. Everything's so simple and easy. To enter a PTO on your mobile device takes about 7 seconds.
Wow. I can attest. I've worked with Kelly and Hilton for a long time. You push us a ton, which we love. Yeah, you're always looking for the new technology and really pushing us on the innovation curve and helping us and partnering with us, which we really, really appreciate. All right, let's go to Rudy. So I know you work with myself, but you work with my Center of Excellence team, quite a bit. And what I'd like to hear from you is, how has Oracle and our cloud business partnered with MetLife? Has it been different than kind of what you've experienced in the on-premise world with PeopleSoft? What's been positive about that? And the second kind of part of the question is, do you feel we listen to you, take your feedback and try to adjust either our strategy or try to make things better?
Yeah, so definitely different from the PeopleSoft world. I recall for the years we've been for PeopleSoft customers for like 20 years. I don't think we've ever had a meeting with Oracle other than a sales meeting, right? Because once we buy a product, we install it, it's ours, and we manage it. And of course, we have the SARs, and that's it. But I would say even before we went live, we've engaged Oracle on getting us ready, right? So we had a 2-year implementation program, so we work very closely with your Center of Excellence on kind of understanding the product, and then how do we transition from 20 years of MetLife way of doing things into the cloud environment. And then ever since we went live, we formed a very close partnership with the Center of Excellence, specifically around payroll and also some of the workforce administration stuff. So right now we're co-designing some of the features that we used to have in PeopleSoft, like defaulting. It's autocomplete. And my team and I are very excited about this ability to co-create new functionality, which aligns very well with our focus on efficiency and simplification. So it's nothing but really strong partnership and ability to hear what the customers like us are saying, and also ability to have those customer focus groups, which we take full advantage of.
Yeah, the one thing I will mention, and MetLife does a great job. You all do a great job. Scott is just starting his journey, but we've done a lot of partnership, and we can talk about our partnership we've had with Oracle Recruiting Cloud and how JP Chase helped drive requirements in the product for us. But we have an online community, which is different than what we were able to do in the on-premise world, called Customer Cloud Connect. And this is a community where our customers can come online and have conversations without Oracle always being in the middle with each other, start discussion threads around themes, give us feedback on enhancement requests. And I can tell you my team takes those really very seriously. And we prioritize the enhancement requests we get from customers. And then we partner on specific initiatives like Rudy just outlined. We have some new features around defaulting and validation logic. And we picked out some key customers that have a need in that space to give us feedback and help us further build out that functionality. So thank you for that, Rudy. Let's go back to Scott. I'm going to ask you all a little bit about and put yourself in a existing PeopleSoft on-premise customer today, and they have a lot of customizations, and they're worried that is the cloud going to be robust enough for them, and how they're going to move everything they've done and customize on-premise into the cloud. And I know you all had those concerns when you first started. So I would ask Scott, JP Chase had a number of customizations that were important for you, and the bank with your on-premise PeopleSoft. How did that work with transitioning those to the cloud? And were you able to do that for the most part? Did you retire some? What happened
Sure.
there?
Well, we had over 30,000 customizations in PeopleSoft. Not to mention, we had built dozens of bespoke systems to sit around PeopleSoft, the PeopleSoft database, and the PeopleSoft ecosystem. And that was really the driver, the business value driver behind the decision to migrate off of PeopleSoft and into the Oracle HCM platform. As you know, Chris, we looked at the marketplace because we felt that rebooting our structure, our infrastructure, was necessary for us to get a level of simplification that fed not only the features that Kelly was talking about, which is how do you lead with digital first, is you have to start with simplified experiences and simplified processes. So we spent a great deal of time going back and renovating our processes. My partner, Janine Carlucci, and I spent months redesigning all of our global business processes and going to a simplified data model. The results of that were a trade-off. So while we may have less customization or specialization in the individual business processes for a specific geography or a specific line of business, what we ended up with was a more streamlined customer-employee interaction. And the result of that for us was really around the data byproducts, is for us to be able to use the workforce data and reintroduce it into our business processes through artificial intelligence and machine learning, which we're partnering with you on. It was necessary for us to take a re-look at the data model and simplify the number of interactions and the data that we're capturing as part of those interactions. And for us, for that reason, the business case is compelling. We're saving time, we're saving money, and we're improving the experience by making that initial investment in that process simplification.
And I'll thank Scott and the JP Chase team. They partnered with us on our Oracle Recruiting Cloud. It was part of a commitment that we made early on in the sales process with them. And they really helped us design some key capabilities, which not only benefits JP Morgan Chase, but the rest of our customer base. So as Kelly said, it was a little early for her, 2.5 years ago, or when they were going live. JP Morgan Chase is now our largest customer live on Oracle Recruiting Cloud, and has given us fantastic feedback. So thank you for that, Scott.
And the feedback keeps coming on Oracle Recruiting Cloud, as you know. Yeah.
We love it. I mean, we're here to continue to make things better and innovate. And this is where we have customers like you that push. The recruiters
love it. The recruiters love it. So it's a great place to start.
That's awesome. All right, we're going to go, Kelly, same question around. Now, you have to think back because you've been live for a little while, so I'm sure you remember, but just some of the customizations and how you thought about, how you're going to move those to the cloud and how that worked out for Hilton.
You bet. And, not to repeat some of the things that Scott said, I'll pivot and look at it from a different angle. For us, I took the product mindset. We really need to focus on outcomes, what we were trying to achieve. So I took a product mindset to the cloud of what we were trying to accomplish. So for us, it was really exciting because we were able to really focus on where we need to go. So let's not talk about what we have or what we did. Where are we going and how do we get there? And that really helped the business think about it instead of just really focusing on here's what you have and let's change it. Don't worry about it. Tell me what you want. Tell me where you want to go, and let's figure out how we ladder up to it. And that was very successful, both in our business and our technology practice that I run. So it was a great opportunity to help the teams feel a level of freedom and be able to design, think, and move things forward. So I was really excited about that. And we, being a technologist by trade and most of my career, I also honed back to let's not go too crazy. Stay with personalization, stay with configurations, because that way we can make sure that we're taking advantage of all of the wonderful upgrade processes that you guys have put in place and all of the releases. And then we have to look at our scalability of testing and what that model looks like so we can free ourselves up to really consume the new technology without having to spend so much energy making sure any kind of specializations or customizations worked right as we did our release updates. So we took kind of a three-prong approach, and we've been very successful. Our releases go so incredibly smooth now. It's amazing.
Kelly, that was great feedback. Thank you. Let's transition to Rudy. Let me ask you the same question. MetLife was live on PeopleSoft for 20-something years. I'm sure you had a few customizations that popped up over the years. So how'd you think about that? How'd you think about what you were going to move into the cloud or maybe retire some of the customizations? Just so you're speaking to yourself, actually over 2 years ago when you started this journey. What would you say?
It's a combination of what kind of heard from Kelly and from Scott. It's first we also looked at, forget about what we've done, right? So 20 years, it's when we start looking at the details, everybody was, oh my God, what about this piece? What about that, right? So forget about that. Let's start focusing on what we're building new, right? My biggest battle was around the position management. So we've had position management for many, many years, and it didn't serve us well. So kind of how do we live in the world without positions? And then how do we create standards, right? So I kind of heard Scott mention earlier, like they focused on data and creating the standardization, and we've done exactly the same kind of, we have population in 45 countries, living on PeopleSoft through different acquisitions. So how do we create one standard? So we've created new jobs, new grades, kind of set up the global standard and moved everyone into that structure, as well as looked where we do need to personalize, right? So we went through that phase of, okay, there's the new stuff we're building, but at the same time, the BAU needs to work. So what is needed for us to work in this personalization phase? And I have to say that this is part of the ERP. When we did look in the pre-sign phase, we looked at other ERPs in this space. And what we found from Oracle is that it's very flexible. It allowed us to go to the cloud as much as we need to, at the same time, keeping some of the personalization that just we do to run the business. Because we do have some variety from, let's say, from the standard process that cloud introduces. And having that ability to create, whether it's user-defined fields or tables or fast formulas, enabled us to build those processes the way we wanted them to be built. So I think it's for some of us, it was a longer journey than other within the team, kind of people where, it's something that you work on for many years, but we've always done it that way. and going into and saying, okay, forget about what you've done and we're going to do it this new way, and why it's because this is the best practice, was something of a cultural shift for us. And it took us some time to transition that and redesign some of the processes and really create some new processes in place.
That's great. I was just talking to Paco in the earlier segment about, some of the customizations that customers made were, done by the system integrator. And, sometimes it was because, maybe PeopleSoft didn't finish some of the functionality in certain areas. And what we've learned in the cloud is, we've had to build out and finish some of the functionality that might not have existed. And we've had a number of customers come and say, hey, this has been in our PeopleSoft system for 20 years. And I've talked to Paco and he said, we never built that. So we've had to go further, the last mile and some capabilities. So that was great. All right, let's go back to.
Before you go though, I wanted to also add that there's also the opposite end where there was functionality in PeopleSoft that was just missing, right, in cloud.
Yeah.
And what it did require for us is to kind of create some of the process that maybe was kind of takes 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But what was great to your earlier point around the partnership, so it did enable us to partner with Oracle on kind of working on those processes of that feature functionality and co-develop it, or just nudge you guys and other customers in the direction that if we need it, I'm sure there are others who need that same functionality to just make some of the processes more efficient. So that goes back to that partnership point where kind of journeys together, right? So it's not us versus them, or it's like together we'll succeed.
And let's go back to a question for Scott. So we've been working together for a while now, and just like to hear from you what the partnership looked like through your implementation, and then like we said, you've been live for about 3 months. Since you've been live, how has that partnership changed, and how has the partnership been throughout the implementation?
Sure, Chris, and I think, as you know, when we were looking at the marketplace for a SaaS solution, we more or less made our decision based on the partnership and the confidence in the partnership between JPMC and Oracle. And I think that you have very gracefully led us from that sort of pre-selection process through the selection process and now into the implementation with the same level of support that we saw at the early stages of it, if not more. And I think what we're seeing is access to the engineering teams at Oracle, the development teams specifically, have really accelerated our ability to implement on the track and the trajectory that we had scheduled. The relationships that we have built through the implementation, the challenges that we had, are ones that I think will carry us to the next generation of releases that we're putting in place. And while I think we have contributed to the community in terms of our requirements and our our demands on the product, I think we have been met successfully with Oracle in any challenges that we've overcome. And I think that was the reason why we selected you, and it's proven to be true to this point.
It's great. Yeah, thank you. It's been great. Kelly, we're going to ask you same question, but can you highlight a little bit? You've helped us develop a lot of our new products and have taken some new releases. So how has the partnership worked with Hilton, and how has some of the new product introductions that Hilton has taken early worked?
You bet. So from my perspective, my favorite part is we get to educate each other. I'll be like, let me help you understand how this works in our business, right? And you guys educate us. So I like that challenging in a positive way, right? We're educating and we're growing and learning and getting better. So that's very exciting for me. And to your point, we're able to get on the phone with your engineers or offshore, and we literally will do peer code review or peer code, exploratory items, right? And we'll be looking at functionality and thinking about how it works, and we'll go try this, and we have very quick turnaround. And my team works, we kind of chase the sun as well, so I have the opportunity to work in around the clock, and we can turn things around so quickly because we have no challenge, test learn, go show. And I love that we all let our guard down, and we're really comfortable in being vulnerable and showing what we've learned and helping to just make a better product overall.
Yeah, I can just give one great example where Hilton partnered with us around the digital assistant. And I know my product management team and the digital assistant, a lot of the user experience is the conversation and how you go about having the conversation, the answers that you provide. And it was literally daily calls with your team and my team, going through and flushing out how this was going to work and getting feedback from users and flushing it out. And that type of partnership is fantastic. It helps us build a much better product. And I think ultimately, you get a much better solution.
Right, absolutely. We're able, and we understand how to use it, change it, develop it, improve it, right? And so that's always so helpful for us because we want to enhance our team and get wiser and understand the technology so that we can grow our technology skill set as well as, leverage with you guys and help infuse some of the business mindset that we have.
Okay, we're going to ask just a couple more questions. So we're going to go to Rudy. We're going to ask about innovation, but I'm going to ask you all about how are you leveraging or how are you looking for Oracle to help you on that innovation curve? So we'll go to that, and then I'm going to finish with a little question on payroll for the two for MetLife and Hilton. You both are live on payroll. Just there's a lot of nervousness around moving payroll to the cloud. JP Morgan Chase will get there. That's their next phase, but a lot of nervousness. So I'm going to ask you both of those questions. So Rudy, let me ask you about innovation and how you see Oracle HCM Cloud helping you on that innovation curve.
Innovation there's big pieces, right? Like digital assistant and kind of the whole new way of doing things. And then there are very small pieces that are very effective and efficient and kind of change the operations day to day, right? And I think that's been our focus and realization over the last 18 months is that by having a cloud system, it enabled us to take these small steps to constantly evolve and change and adjust, right? So now we finally kind of updated with this RUI, the responsive UI, and the experience has changed. And that was the big aha moment for kind of our group and kind of experience of people that have with Oracle, because we had a long implementation, took us 2 years to do the implementation, then we had kind of the stabilization phase. And having this RUI, kind of people said, oh, wait, okay, so this cloud benefit is real. Because before that, it was all kind of talk, because yes, you'll go to cloud and you'll see innovation, but it took us some time to see that. And now with every release, we're seeing new functionality that is changing processes every day. And I hear it from kind of our processors, our team broadly, oh, wow, this is a cool feature and that is a cool feature, right? So while we may not kind of take even advantage of everything that's out there, right? We're just still focusing on learning because I think even within 18 months, there's still a lot for us to learn. And we're constantly learning in this flow of work, kind of how cloud operates and how new features are released and kind of the input that we have and other customers have. And then what do we do with that, right? So kind of how do we then adjust our process? Because just because technology is there, it doesn't always mean that we're ready, right? So then it becomes an internal cultural shift. Kind of if that is available, then all these pieces are now falling into place.
That's great.
Thank you for the question.
No, it's great. Thank you, Rudy. Scott, we're going to go to you now. I know you guys have just gone live, and you have a few follow-up releases that you're gonna go live with. But you have a vision for how we're going to work together and how you're going to kind of ride that innovation curve. So we'd love to hear what that looks like.
Well, no, and I think you've kind of summarized it, which is really the primary benefit that we saw to making the jump from PeopleSoft to Oracle HCM, which was an investment on behalf of our business, was that we would get the benefit of Oracle's investment in the product and the innovation that they're bringing to the table, and then we would get that much quicker than we would in the PeopleSoft environment where we were doing upgrades every 3 to 5 years. So getting a release every quarter of new functions, new features, having input into that and having the benefit of seeing what our peer group, like Kelly and Rudy, are doing to exploit that, we found was a real benefit to our business. And those are tangible savings to our businesses. They are improved satisfaction for our employees. And what we are really looking to exploit is the connection between the management of the firm, the people that lead our teams, and the employees of the firm, and make those interactions of higher value. And we see those coming as with each release, each successive release on a quarterly basis, and it's a huge lift for us.
And we'll go to you, Kelly. Now, we've talked about innovation and what you're doing and what you're driving at Hilton and how we're partnering. But anything else you want to add as far as how you see us continuing to work together on that?
You bet. So I think 3 things for me. One, we've talked about digital assistant, but when you think about the business application of that, so we went live, we've only been live a few months with it, 50,000 conversations that my support team didn't have to answer. That's huge, right? And we satisfied those team members. And so that's amazing in my opinion, right? We save so much labor cost handling it things that way. Secondarily, empowering that manager and that team member. So I encourage Oracle to continue to elevate the self-service functionality in the system. There's so much power as we move away the black box of HR, and team members and managers can truly understand the information, consume it, and engage with it and interact with it, beyond just looking at their PTO and payroll, right? There's so much opportunity there, and I'd love to continue to elevate that because I think that's truly powerful. And lastly, what I'd like to see, and we do a lot of this at Hilton, as the new features come out, as as Scott mentioned, we can work with the peer groups, and then I challenge my team. They gobble up the release notes and they'll go put together a quick, they'll spin up a quick prototype of something. And I'm like, I don't even want to know about it. And then the next thing they're like, hey, we're going to show you how this works, right? And so we go and take it and apply it to something in our business. And we did this during the pandemic. We used, as I mentioned to you, the simple checklist functionality and engineered the entire business process using checklists and creating task lists and things of that nature and pulling it all together with data models in the back end feeding it. And we created an amazing experience for our team members to help us through the pandemic.
That's great. So I'm going to ask you just a quick follow up on payroll. So one of the concerns that we hear a lot is Oracle HCM Cloud ready for me to move my payroll to the cloud? And how has that experience been for you? I mean, you've been running it for 18 plus months now. So how has that gone, and any advice that you might have?
Sure, absolutely. It's definitely a shift, right? It's absolutely a shift from PeopleSoft. I think the key and the biggest piece of advice for me is the team that's typically you think about running payroll and perhaps the skill set that's ran it in the past, you truly have to upskill and change skill for these team members, because you're looking at a technology person understanding payroll versus a payroll folk, right, team member being able to execute against payroll in a technology suite. And I think that's how I would explain it. I think that's the difference. And our team members really wanted to educate them, invest in them, and help them learn and then make it better. And so from our perspective, it wasn't easy, but we definitely made it better. And we worked with you all to create frameworks of how long things should run. We're actually at a simplification project running this year. So I'm very excited about that, because now we've learned and we understand and we can make it simpler and better. And there's so much opportunity to pay people so quickly and the turnaround so quickly, because it truly is a turnkey system. It's just we have to have the right skill sets utilizing it.
Rudy, same question, just on payroll. How has it gone? Any advice that you might have for our on-premise PeopleSoft friends?
Yeah, so definitely aligned with Kelly's kind of advice around the skills of folks who are running it, and kind of looking at it as you're not just moving from PeopleSoft payroll to cloud payroll. You're really relooking at how payroll runs. We also a semi-monthly current customer, so it's a little. While in PeopleSoft, it was a lot of custom processes that we kind of put it all together to make it happen. In cloud, that's been a bit of a struggle for us to just adjust that process. And my only advice would be to look at your pay frequencies and make sure that it's how you want to continue with that. So we are looking internally at our pay frequency and to see if we should adjust to make it work a little easier for our teams. It's not an easy journey into payroll, right? So we spend a lot of time on validating the data, because I think you only hear about payroll when the check is not right, but when everything is good, it kind of goes unnoticed, right? So, and that's what was our goal when we were converting into cloud, to make sure that we just don't hear noise, right? So we were not looking to deliver the best paycheck, right? Instead, we're looking to make sure that it's right and consistently. And we spend time really on upskilling the team and even in production, right? So kind of constant learning as to how this product works and how you adjust your process. So take time within the payroll to really reimagine how payroll should work.
That's great. And Scott has payroll in the future that will be going live in the future, but I will, and I don't know if you want to make any comments, but we did get one fantastic requirement from the JP Morgan Chase team that we've actually subsequently implemented, and it's a feature now called Pay Me Now. Do you want to say anything about that? It was something that we heard from them, we loved it, and we built it. So I don't know if you want to talk briefly about that, Scott.
Sure. So as part of one of our meetings, customer meetings, I'm not sure exactly how it came up, but the feedback came back that, our focus as a company has been, how do we, are there things that we can do to improve the financial security of our lower paid employees? And one of the things that we found was that there was an overutilization of short-term lending facilities, and that this was something that we felt was not necessarily in the employee's best interest long-term to be leveraging these things, because of the expense associated with them was disabling their ability to build the nest egg necessary to be able to weather budget variance for the household. So we brought this up to Chris, and it was a requirement directly from the most senior person in our company that we should partner with Oracle instead of going to market and looking for a way to advance our employees on their next paycheck or the paycheck after that. And Oracle made it their journey and mission to deliver that, and they delivered it before we were even able to implement payroll. So the product is ready for the broader consumption, and we intend on using it when we go live with our payroll early next year. So thank you for that partnership, and you saved us another bespoke application and another vendor in a portfolio of hundreds of applications that we're trying to rationalize. So great proof of our partnership.
Yeah, I always say that most of the great ideas come from our great customers, and this was one that we heard and we absolutely loved it. And I think you asked again, and we're like, we're already bought in. So we thought it was such a compelling story, and something that all our customers are excited about. So thank you for that. I think we're going to end it here. I wanted to thank all of you for your participation in this. I mean, really, the goal is to help the PeopleSoft customers that haven't quite taken the leap into the cloud to really understand a little bit more about what it's like living in the cloud, how you've done through this pandemic. And I think you've all done a fantastic job. So let me thank you each personally. Scott, thank you. Kelly, thank you, and Rudy, thank you for participating in this panel. And it's going to be great for our customers. So thank you.